Hey guys, good evening everyone. I am so sorry about what happened with the scheduled stream. So I'm not really sure what went on there. I think it's been a problem with YouTube and or OBS. So I started my streaming, everything seemed to be fine in OBS, but then it wasn't flowing into YouTube. So I was effectively talking to myself for 40 minutes or so, and sorry if you were unable to watch the duel with my commentary. I thought it was an excellent match. I think Yuhiro did give a good performance, but Fakir was overall stronger. So instead of going through the specific watching again the games, what we will do is we will quickly look at the team compositions and Cosmos, and then we will have a quick look at the update for this week. So the first game was won by Fakir with an Hades repaired clothes team, which used Pog Yoga and Saori as the support characters to the core team. So Yuhiro was playing the new character that came out today, so Baron Luna, and what he was trying to do, was effectively buffing Aphrodite to allow Aphrodite to increase his critical damage and also to give burn stacks. Now, unfortunately for Yuhiro, Fakir played very well, so he managed to effectively keep his Mew alive for quite a while thanks to Saori, and also despite losing Mew to Hades being controlled by Minos and casting the Pact of Mew, still Fakir managed to win in what ended up as a fight between DC Shiryu and Hades. So I guess it's interesting to see how Luna is being played here. So Yuhiro's Luna is 5554, and interestingly he's using a two-horned snake, which is definitely an interesting choice, possibly not one that I fully support. I think Luna tends to go a lot better with Book of the Dead, but still it is acceptable, but Book of the Dead can really make a lot of difference. So then the rest is fairly standard. So we see that he's a fast Luna, but he's not too fast. So he's using Nether. In terms of Cosmos, we do not see that many double speed, and the reason for that is that as I've mentioned in my Baron Luna review, you want Luna to be able to remove controls from your team, and because of that it shouldn't be too fast. So let's have a look also at Fakir. So let's have a look at Hades, so 555. He's using Dragon Tooth as a legendary Cosmo, and that is definitely a good choice, because using Dragon Tooth versus Book of the Dead can make a lot of difference in a mirror match. So when we have a mirror match, very often Sea Dragon Cannon's target will be the opponent's Hades. And that is because by doing that, you avoid the AoE that the opponent's Hades would unleash in the third turn, which would also feed the triangle from your opponent. So using Dragon Tooth effectively allows to ensure that Hades is not going to die in the triangle, and that effectively there is not going to be overflow damage. So it's definitely the best choice when preparing for a mirror match. Let's have a look at the other Cosmos very quickly. So Gold Yoga Ultra Fast with Mandala, Saori with Dragon Tooth, and with damage resistance build. So we see physical and cosmic damage resistance, and of course the Naga pairs also give a massive amount of HP. So see that we are effectively above 80k HP for Saori, which is very significant for the revival ability. Underworld Shun is the carrier of the Marsh Fairy, and is using a status resistance build, so 106% status res. Sea Dragon Cannon is using Dragon Tooth, and he is also using effectively a cosmic damage resistance build, so Fakir must have been quite worried about a mirror match, so this team would have performed quite well in a mirror match. And finally Mew with the standard choices, so nothing really to add on the Cosmos for Mew. Let's also have a look at Yuhiro's Cosmos. So similar choices, also Mandala, Central Cosmo. Athena is the one carrying the Marsh Fairy, and also using New Moon, so not an extremely offensive Athena with Felina. We've already seen Luna, so Minos here fairly standard choices, using Hummingbird, interestingly, instead of the eagle. So is a decent choice. So in any case, he has the second ability at 5, so 90% plus 71% status heat, but definitely the missing status heat from Crimson Eagle could have been very significant when playing against the team Fakir was using. So with Saori and, for example, Underworld Shun with a very strong status resistance build. So then we have this Shiryu with a very common build, so Book of the Dead and Naga pairs. And Aphrodite using Chimera, and again with what is a fairly standard build. I guess it is interesting to see Aphrodite with Chimera here, without Underworld Shun. Using Two-Horned Snake might be better without the double turn, but I'm sure that Yuhiro made all his calculations in this specific team. So we then went into the second game, and Yuhiro remained with the same team, and Fakir moved to the team with Ophiuchus and Thanatos, the two DC Shun and DC Shiryu, and Minos for control. So again, here what happened is that Yuhiro tried to use again Lune to buff the damage of Aphrodite and then Minos. The problem is that Fakir's Thanatos mainly was able to do quite an incredible amount of damage, and the reality is when a team with Thanatos faces a team without Thanatos, it is incredibly hard for the other team to win, in particular when your key damage dealer is Aphrodite, who of course does feed Thanatos' anger. So yeah, Fakir did win also the second. Let's have a quick look at the Cosmos. So Athena here with the Marsh Fairy and with also a support build. Ophiuchus, quite interestingly, with a Dragon Tooth. So effectively a very defensive build for Ophiuchus. Thanatos with the two-horned snake and the Naga Purse. This is Shiryu with an offensive build based on Daffodil. This is Shun with a defensive build with the Naga Pairs and then also a lot of cosmic resistance from the red and yellow Cosmos. And Minos also with a fairly defensive build, so we see that Minos for Fakir is using the Eagle, so he has a significantly higher status hit. So Fakir did win the second game, and then what I was saying in the failed live stream when I kept talking to myself was that possibly at this point Yuhiro did give up on the match and tried to at least take home one game, because what Yuhiro did in the third battle, he used in the same team Canon, Hypnos, Ophiuchus and Thanatos. So four very strong characters, like possibly the strongest characters right now with Hades. But even though he would still have had left the Hades repaired cloth team, I'm not sure what kind of competitive team Yuhiro could have put together for the potentially final third game to win. So Yuhiro did manage to win this game, and as I said, it was very difficult for Fakir to compete against a team like this. What we saw interestingly from Fakir already in the third game and then also in the fourth was the usage of Lune to buff Hypnos and Aphrodite, so buffing the damage and for example allowing Hypnos taking damage to add several stacks of burn to the opponents. I guess at this point it's useful to have a look at for example how much of a whale was Yuhiro versus Fakir. So we know very well they both are super whales, but for example let's have a look at their Thanatos and see what kind of HP and what kind of physical attack they have. So Yuhiro's Thanatos, so they have fairly slightly different Cosmos, so it is not an exactly accurate comparison, but we have 67k HP extra with Chimera, whereas Fakir's Thanatos has 66k HP extra. So even though they look very similar, the reality is that Fakir is also using Chimera, so which gives extra HP instead of the two-horned snake, which gives physical attack. However, that is balanced by the fact that Fakir is using the Naga pairs, which give much more HP than the Crystal Fire that is being used by Yuhiro. So I would say similar amount of HPs. Let's look at the strength of, for example, Temples and Will of the Stars. So for Yuhiro, we have 4,710 additional cosmic attack. So outside possibly some tiny bits from Cosmos, that is what is coming from Temples and Will of the Stars and all the extras. Let's have a look at Fakir. So 5,155. So we're talking about approximately 10% more, which is quite significant, but it's not incredibly large. So it's definitely significant, but it's not too much of a difference, to be honest. So at this point, let's have a look at the Cosmos of this third battle. So Canon for Yuhiro, so very standard build. June, also fairly standard build. Hypnos with a decelerator, so to mess up the strategy of the opponent by changing the order in which the team activates. Ophiuchus with an offensive build, so using the two-horn snake. Thanatos that we just saw using Chimera, which again is interesting because this team doesn't play with double turn either, so I do think that the two-horn snake tends to play better in such a team, but to be seen. And finally Geki, who is the carrier of the Marsh Fairy, and is built with a strong status resistance and a status hit build with a fairly slow speed. So Fakir, so instead has a June with Mandala instead of Iris. Canon with a speed less offensive build, so he's using New Moon instead of the Hummingbird. Hypnos also with the decelerator. Luna, so Luna in this case he's playing with the Book of the Dead, which I think is probably a better option than the two-horned snake that Yuhiro was using. And in the case of Fakir, this Luna is really quite fast. So we're talking about 645 speed, which is definitely very fast. And I guess the objective here was to, by buffing Hypnos quickly, to allow more burn stacks and more damage from Hypnos to be done to the opponent. And then we have Andromeda Shun, built also with a status hit and status resistance build, but very slow. And closing with Aphrodite with a defensive build, so with the Dragon Tooth and then standard Naga pairs and other Cosmos. So we then go to the final game, which so Yuhiro using his Hades team. So this Hades team was using Saori and DC Shun, and Fakir used again the team from the third battle, and in this case we saw how much damage can Luna do when buffing Hypnos, and Aphrodite. So in this last match, the reality is that Yuhiro had very little chance of winning, because Hypnos was faster than the fastest saint on Yuhiro's team, so Hades, which meant that Fakir could debuff, could place the Nightmare marks on Mew, and by doing that, yeah, Fakir's team was able to effectively break the engine of the Yuhiro's team, which does rely on Mew to do a lot of damage in Cannon Strangle. So it was clearly very, very difficult for Yuhiro to recover from that. And that's why, for example, when playing an Hades Repair Clause team, it makes sense to have one ultra fast character such as Cannon, Gemini Cannon, or for example Gold Yoga, to be able to try to act before the enemy Hypnos to hide Mew. So in this case, unfortunately for Yuhiro, Hypnos could cast the mark on Mew, which meant also that when buffed by Lune, then quickly the damage from Hypnos with the Lune buff, and then also from Aphrodite with Lune buff, was able to really weigh on Yuhiro's team. And then of course we also had Lune transforming and using his whip ability, and then finally Gemini Cannon closing the game. So Yuhiro had very little chance with this without a fast character like Pog Yoga or Gemini Cannon acting before the enemy Hypnos. So it was, I think Yuhiro did well. So let's have a look at the Cosmos here. So he's using also the Dragon Tooth instead of the Book of the Dead, which, as I said earlier, I think is a great choice when preparing for mirror matches. Saori is the one carrying the Marsh Fairy. This Ishun has a defensive build, and in fact very defensive when considering he's using Nether, so to shield against cosmic damage. Sea Dragon Cannon is using a fairly defensive build as well. Underworld Shun with Laurel Tree, and Mew with the absolutely standard build used by everyone. So well played. I guess we did see few differences in the Cosmos, and we did see that Fakir had some advantage in terms of stats for the characters, but wasn't an advantage which was too massive. When looking at the characters, we did see that Fakir has effectively all saints with max skills, which Yuhiro does not have, but he definitely does have a very high level of skills across all his characters, even though they are not all maxed like Fakir does. So that was all for the review of the top 4 match between Yuhiro and Fakir. Again, I am so sorry about what happened with the live streaming. I need to try and get speak with YouTube to see what has happened, why it didn't go live, so to ensure it doesn't happen again. Now, I've just thought that instead of doing everything in one video, I will just make a second video with the weekly update so that people do not have to go through the Jamir top 8 match if they're not interested in it. So we'll close this here, and very shortly I will do the second video on the weekly update. So thanks again for watching, and see you soon.